Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. The summer of Brad has rolled on into fall as he has Mackenzie Weegar's extension done before the regular season with 8 years, $50 million deal. Let's talk about it today on Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for making Locked On Flames part of your day. And make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you watch your YouTube videos, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, so you know that you're never missing an episode of Locked On Flames. My goodness, what a great way to kick off the weekend, to wrap up the preseason with the announcement of the Mackenzie Weegar extension. 8 years, 6.5 average annual value, and it ends up being a $50 million deal. You know, you cannot hate this. You have to relish in the fact that this deal is done before the season starts. He is making $6.5 million as one of the strongest puck-moving defensemen in the league, and he's only 28. And this is his prime. This is his prime. I feel like $6.5 million is going to be a steal, especially when you see what defensemen are making now before the cap goes up. We see, Charlie McAvoy making I think like $9 million. You have plenty of other defensemen like Brett Burns making $11 million, Erik Karlsson making all that money. And I truly feel like getting Weegar for less than 8 is fantastic. I will say that. And y'all know that I love a good grinder. You know I love someone who puts in the effort and is an underdog and just might take a little bit of extra time to get where they are and to appreciate that success. And I think that Mackenzie Weegar is one of those players that we really need to talk about and just appreciate that underdog story, especially because I feel like this team will always have that underdog, quote unquote, smaller market mentality, and it just has something with it. And talking to the media, he says it means everything. And when I signed the deal, I just kept thinking about how long of a road it's been for me since junior B to the coast, which is the ECHL, and now to here. I really have no words. It's going to sink in a little later, I think. It'll be emotional later to call my mom and dad. This is just crazy, and I couldn't be more thankful. I don't know. I just, obviously it's great when you're like a naturally born, talented, gifted player that gets drafted and, you barely do any time in the AHL and you jump right into the NHL. But, when you have a guy who knows what it takes to hustle and grind and that's been through the trenches to get to this level of success, I think that, you genuinely know that they appreciate it and they know how to ride out those hard days. They know that it takes that extra effort, and I really appreciate Mackenzie Weegar, and I appreciate everything that his journey has brought to him. It gives him character. It gives him, I would say a position to lead almost, because, you have all that experience. People are going to listen to you, And when he was asked about Huberdeau, or him and Huberto came up in conversation. This is funny. He kept giving me an elbow or two in the gut saying, when are you going to do it? I just kept saying the same thing to him as I was saying to you guys. Hopefully soon. Now maybe I can get a house next to him or something like that. Maybe one of these years they could. And then the Wes Gilbertson goes on to say, maybe one of these years they could host a Stanley Cup party. And I'm so happy. We're going to talk about this later in the show too, about the mentality around this team, the bond that this team shares, and how important, being teammates on the ice, it's important, but then how important it is to, treat each other like friends and family off the ice as well. And I think this team does a fantastic job with that. And Weegar goes on to say, I believe in this team. They want to win. We have a winning team, a winning coach, a winning culture. They want to win now, and I want to win now. The fact that this team believes in themselves, they have one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time, manning that locker room. It is going to be one heck of a season, and I am so excited to see what happens. Right now the Flames are losing 3-1 to Winnipeg, but it is it's just the last game of the preseason. So does it even matter? No, it doesn't. It's nothing to stress about. But there's just something that feels so good to have this kind of confidence going into the regular season after the tumultuous off season that this team had. And we're going to talk about that next here on Locked On Flames. But before we do that, I do want to take a quick second to talk about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sport wagering information, with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf, and of course, the NHL as well. Head on over to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you, as always, for tuning into Locked On Flames. And if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. Thank you for stumbling upon this show. And of course, if you'd like to, you can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. One of the best things about this team is that they still believe in themselves. They still believe in themselves, and there is a very positive energy just coursing through that room after losing 95% of your core over the last 2 years. There is no captain. There is no Johnny Hockey. And the heartbeat of the team flatlined and gave us 2 better hearts. You got to have, actually really 3, because I would count Nazem Kadri in there too, but that's a free agent, and we can thank Sean Monahan for being moved for that one, right? But everyone here wants to win. And I know that, in order to play at a professional level, you have to want to win. Yes, but if you go out there and you talk to the Coyotes, we want to win, is very different from a Calgary Flames team saying we want to win. Because the Flames are going to go out there and still compete in their division. Check out Locked On Coyotes to see what they're looking forward to winning. But I love that in his interview, Weegar talks about, he stresses in the interview that he believes in this team, that they want to win, and they have a winning team. The fact that they can be so positive and truly believe it and buy into it is amazing, because I fully believe it and buy into it. It is so different than that first off season when this team was coming back from the bubble playoffs, and they talked about wanting to have a winning season, and just wanting to have a different playoff experience. I didn't believe what those boys were selling. I fully buy into this, right? I think that this team is still competitive. I think that this team is better than last year's. And I think that they know that too. And I'm okay with them kind of, I don't want to say having that arrogance about them, because I don't think it's arrogance. I think that there is a line between arrogance and confidence. And I think that this team is confident. You can go out there. I think like arrogance to me is the Toronto Maple Leafs going out there and thinking that they're just going to like sweep Montreal, and then they end up, losing again in the first round, right? But I do have to say, this team is completely a 180 from what I came into covering 4 seasons ago. And if you're new here to the Flames organization, hello, welcome. We are so happy to have you here. But it makes me wonder, did this have to happen sooner? And I don't think it did. I spent a lot of time thinking about it, like, what if this had happened earlier? I don't think that the team was ready for it to happen earlier. I don't think that it would have been the same. Okay, obviously, like, the storyline is, like, really cool, too, because, like, when you're watching the Stanley Cup Championship DVD, in a season after losing, 115-point player and a 40-goal scorer, the Flames came back with a vengeance. Like, that helps sell it, too, but I think that this team just, they had to grow up a little bit. All of it. They had to go through Jake Muzzin flipping the puck at Matthew Tkachuk. They had to go through their captain leaving. They had to go through one more bad coach, just one more, until they got to Daryl Sutter and finally had someone who can win, who knows what it takes to win, and has what it takes to win. And, they helped make Calgary a destination last year. And I'm just saying, I'm sure that the better that they get, the more of a destination it will be. The same way that if I say Boston, someone's going to yell at me in the comments for saying I only talk about the team that I root for. But I mean, Boston was still is a competitive team and is a destination. I would say Carolina is a destination. I would say Tampa is a destination. I think the Panthers are still a destination, maybe. But I do think that Calgary has become one of the most attractive teams in the league. And, they're going to remain competitive this season. They are so lucky to have had the flexibility to move Sean Monahan, to bring in Kadri, because I don't think it would have been Luch waiving his no movement clause again to bring him in. I really want to see who steps up as a leader. I think that they would have named a captain this offseason if they were to do it this year. I mean, they could always switch it up, but I feel like they would have done it earlier, or at least by now. Maybe they'll do it between now and when the puck drops on Wednesday or Thursday, when the season starts. But I don't know, because I don't think that that's the most important thing to the team right now. I think that everyone contributes in a way that is much bigger than, wearing a C. I mean, they technically all wear a C, but, the special C. And, I think that you don't need a captain, especially in a locker room like this. You don't need a captain, because everyone is proud of themselves and is a leader in themselves. So, and I think that's part of the culture of winning. I think that in years past, they needed a voice to turn to. They needed someone to get, keep the morale up. Be like, yes, we can still do it, even though they couldn't. And, I give Gio a lot of credit for trying his best because I know what it's like to captain a ship that has no direction. And it's not very fun. It is very difficult to do. But again, this team still has a lot of positive energy. They have a lot of commitment. And I saw someone say that, they have a lot of faith in guys that they haven't, even seen play a regular season game yet. Like for their team. And it's like, well, that's pretty much how you can say every free agent signing is, whether they're traded or, they are a free agent. Like, that's how hockey deals are made. But again, I think people talk just to talk, and you can hate outside the club you can't even get into. It is what it is. But coming up next, we are going to talk about winners and losers of the week because it is Friday, and I thought that what a great way to wrap up the week with our winners and losers. And thank you all for hanging out with me on Locked On Flames, and make sure that you are subscribed wherever you're getting your podcasts. Every Friday, I try to do the winners and losers segment to wrap up the show because I think it's a great way to reflect on the week, and it gives us something to talk about. Sometimes it's outside of hockey, outside of sports in general, and I do think that this is a good way to reflect on things that need to change as well. And we're going to start with our winners this week. I have two winners because I don't think it would be fair if I just named one. But I'm going to start with Aaron Judge, who hit his 62nd home run and breaking the record for most home runs in a regular season by a Yankee. So congratulations. I hope you sign with the Red Sox this offseason. Thank you. But Brad Treliving is also my winner this week because I really do my best to look outside of the organization when I name a winner. But I can't. I'm sorry. I really can't. I'm obsessed with Brad Treliving and how busy he was this summer. And he has his nose to the grindstone and he is going. And he was on a podcast earlier this week talking about how his daughter was so upset with him and how she wouldn't go anywhere. She wouldn't give her name. And then when she went to the Stampede after the Huberdeau and Weegar were traded and the Huberdeau extension got done, then she used her name at the Stampede to try to move ahead in the line. And honestly, I get it. I would do the same thing, but I think that, Brad Treliving is still the front runner for general manager of the year. Things could go horribly south for the Flames, knock on wood, please. But I think the fact that he was able to get those extensions for Huberdeau and Weegar done before the regular season after losing one UFA and another RFA in one summer. Well, that was a horrible time. That was a really stressful time. And I feel like we've come full circle and we can appreciate what this summer brought to us. But my loser of the week, it doesn't come lightly. I feel like I didn't have to put much thought into this because it is just probably 2022's biggest loser, and that would be Hockey Canada. I'm not going to go into specific details, but everything they've done and that continues to come to light, just burn it all down. The current leadership clearly sees no issue with what they're doing based on their testimony. I don't understand how you can even try to have any semblance of leadership and I don't know. You just cannot reform what is going on there. And I'm pretty sure they're being investigated federally now because of potential misuse of funds and whatnot. But it's just very, very disappointing, to say the least. And, I think there's just a lot of work that needs to be done there, and just burn it all to the ground. I don't know what to tell people. Sponsors are pulling out left and right, and Nike is the latest, so good luck, I guess. But my other loser of the week is probably going to be Don Sweeney from Boston for sending down Oscar Steen on waivers when he should have still been playing with the club. But anyways, yes, please talk more about in the comments how I only talk about the Bruins. But yeah, any chance I can. But thank you all so much for tuning in to a Friday night edition of Locked On Flames. Flames are still currently losing 3-1 to the Jets. So I hope you're listening to this after the game, relaxing, maybe on your ride home from the Saddle Dome. As you make yourself a snack. I don't know. I always come home and eat a snack after a game because I'm not paying $30 for chicken tenders and 4 French fries. But that's just me. So yes, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. And until then, go Flames, go.